the dice. This is it. High fly ball into right field. She is gone.
Campanella talking baseball.
The grand salami.
Willie, Mickey, and the Duke.
Welcome to Fed Up, the number one podcast where you can get up on all things Federal League. I am your host, Josh Stoll. A special bonus episode coming your way today. I said I wanted to review my end of the year report card for our preseason preview. Well, we're going to do just that. So if you have literally no interest in this, gloss over this episode and look for our season finale that will be released later today. But for my own edification, I'd love to see how I did. I feel like I nailed some things, and I know I have some apologies to make. So we're going to breeze through this really quickly. If you're on YouTube, there's some more slides that go along with this. So feel free to flip on over to YouTube if you're at all interested in that. Here we go. All right, if you remember right, we set some ground rules at the beginning of the season. They still apply. Number one, this is for fun. Number two, of course, there's no way to know everything. And number three, yep, I was right. I absolutely got something wrong. More than something. Starting in the American League North, the way we're going to grade this, if I got it right on, if I nailed the record on the number, we're going to give ourselves an A. If I missed by a game, we're going with a B. Yep, just one game. We're going with a B. It's a tough grading scale. High standards here on Fed Up. If we miss by 2 games, we're going with a C. If we miss by 3 games, it's a D. If we miss by 4 or more, it's a straight F. At the end, we'll add it all up, weight it out, and give ourselves a final grade. But here we go. In the American League North, Minneapolis Bombers, I had them in at 3-15, making the Class B bracket. They finished 2-16 in the B bracket. So we missed by just a game. And if you remember right, with that tough grading scale, we're going to give ourselves a letter grade of a B on the Minneapolis Bombers. The Red West Legends, it looked like for a while they might not win a game, but they caught fire late. They finished at 3-15. We had them at 6-12. We had them in the B bracket, so we got that part right, but we missed by 3 games, and that's a solid D on the Red West Legends. The Capital City Cannons, we had them at 7-11 in the A bracket. They finished 8-10 in that A bracket, so again, we just missed by a game. Solid letter B on the Capital City Cannons. St. Michael Angels, love this team at the beginning of the year. I thought on the back of Pluff, Sean Model, their pitching staff would catapult them up into the AA. I picked them pretty aggressively at 12-6. I missed by 3 games. They finished 9-9. They were the 1 seed in the A. Almost made that AA, so we almost got the class right, but missed by 3 games. This is another D. The Minoka Grays, we picked them to win the division. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to predict that right, but we had them at 15-3. If you remember right, we had them on that big slide back to 3 losses this season. Well, they threw up another great year at 16-2. Of course, they're in the AAA. We nailed that part. But missing the record by a game, we give ourselves a B. On the American League East, the RC Rockets. We had them in at 4-14, making the B. They finished 5-13. Once again, we missed by just a game. Gave ourselves a B on the RC Rockets. I do think the Rockets have discovered a couple of more young arms this season. If they were to get Colin Warren back, this team is definitely trending in the right direction. I've got my eye on the Rockets in 2025. The St. Croix Valley Silverbacks, we had them at 7-11 solidly in the A. We nailed it. 7-11 in the A. This is our first A and a well-deserved pat on the back. South Metro Saints, I think even if you ask them, they might have themselves somewhere around that 11-7, 12-6 mark. That's where we had them, is at 11-7 in the AA. They exceeded maybe even their own expectations. They won 13 games this year, a franchise record. We did get the class right. They were in that AA. But we missed by 2 games and gave ourselves a C. River Falls Groupers, on the strength of Marks and Meyer, I thought this team was really poised for a big year. I had them at 12-6 in the AA. We got the class right. They did just sneak into that AA as the 8th seed, but they finished at 9-9, so we have to give ourselves a D. East Metro Mammoth, perennial powerhouse. I picked them at 16-2. They exceeded those expectations even and turned in a record of 17-1. Of course, they were in the AAA, but we missed by a game, so we gave ourselves another B. We did have the Mammoth winning this division, so we are 2 for 2 on our division winners as we head into the American League West, where we have the Chaska Diamonds at 3-15, solidly in the B. They finished 2-16, a game worse than what we had predicted, but one game off in either direction earns us another B. The Eden Prairie Flyers, newcomers to the Federal League. I had them at 6-12 in the B. They ended up finishing 5-13. They were the 3 seed in the B. As we all know, they went on to be our Class B champions. We earned a B for the prediction of the record. And congrats once again to the Eden Prairie Flyers. Chaska Voyagers in at 7-11 is what we predicted them in that Class A. They finished a game above that mark. Despite some of the key losses they had from their roster in the offseason, they still went 8-10. We got the class right, but for the Chaska Voyagers, we got to beat. Rockford Rail Splitters coming off a 12-win season in 2023. We downgraded them just a game at 11-7 in the AA. Not only did we nail their record, we nailed their class. We nailed the exact seed that the Rockford Rail Splitters would get in that AA as they came in as the 4. So this is another A for Fed Up. The Waconia Islanders, first season in the Fed. Not a lot of teams knew what to expect. I remember in our days of playing against them in the MSMABA that this team would be really good. I had them in at 13-5 in the AAA. That's exactly what they did. They won this division. So we get another A, and we're 3 for 3 in division winners. Moving on to the American South. We start with the Webster Wildcats. I had them in at 6-12, finishing in the B class. I'm not sure anybody could have predicted that they would collapse mid-season. Obviously, they forfeited a bunch of their schedule. They finished at 1-17, didn't play in the playoffs. But for this one, we're going to give ourselves an incomplete. Kind of reminds me of that Spanish class I took my freshman year at NDSU. Didn't finish. And you'll see that trend continue as we work our way through the South. No comprende on any of these teams for me. The Northfield Millers finished. I had them at 7-11 in the A bracket. They finished 2-16. They withdrew from the postseason. This is a clear-cut, any way you slice it, F. Our first failing grade. We overshot entirely on the Northfield Millers. But hey, I got faith that they're going to bounce back in 2025. The Hastings Hurricanes, another big miss by Fed Up. Who could have predicted the amazing season that they would turn in their first campaign in the Federal League? I had them at 9-9. I had them in the A. I did pick them to win the A for what it's worth. But obviously they turned in an amazing season, 15-3. They won this division. They made the AAA. We missed by 6 games, and that's another F. The Middletown Outlaws, I had them in at 10-8, making that AA. Rebound a little bit here with one team in the South. They ended up finishing 11-7, so we missed by just a game. We got the class right, giving ourselves a B. Burnsville Bulldogs, always a tough out, regardless of what division, what league they're playing in. I had them at 13-5. Making that AAA and winning this division. They finished just a game back at 12-6, but obviously weren't able to overcome Hastings for that division title, which slotted them into the AA. So we missed by a game. We still get a B, but our big miss on Hastings costs us our first division winner. So we are now 3 for 4 on division winners heading into the National League. Over to the East, we had the St. Paul Senators in at 4-14 in the B bracket. They finished 3-15 and finished in that Class B bracket. So we get to earn ourselves another B here. Moving on to St. Paul JT's Block's final season. I had them in at 5-13, solidly in the B. They end up at 6-12. So again, just missed by a game. Get ourselves another B on the board. St. Anthony Norseman, I had them at 9-9 in the A. They finished in the a game worse than what we picked them at. 8-10. I'm glad to see the Norsemen back in the postseason this year where they belong. This is a great team. Getting a little bit older, but these guys can still play. We earned a B on the Norsemen. The Rosemount Pipers. Knew this team was solid from top to bottom. Really good hitters, really good pitchers. I had them at 15-3 in the AAA. That's what they finished. They finished 15-3 in the AAA. So we get ourselves an A there, but I did not have them winning the National League East. Can't remember who it was that I picked. Oh, yeah, these slugs, the Apple Valley A's. I had them at 15-3 in the AAA, winning this division. For what it's worth, this team lost a lot of one-run games this year. They finished at 11-7, got the 5 seed in the AA. Nice consolation prize for the Apple Valley A's. They win the AA championship. Congrats to them on their run, but a big F on the A's. F and A. Over to the National League West. The Minnetonka Mustangs had them in at 2-16 in the B. They doubled that win total. They finished 4-14. They were in the Class B bracket, so we got the class right, but get a C on the Minnetonka Mustangs. TC Snappers, big offseason departures for them, as we're all aware of the exodus of some of their roster over to Lakeville. I had them in at 6-12. They were able to turn in a better campaign than what I expected. That one additional win got them into the A. They finished as the 7th seed. Really strong year for the Snappers for what they had to overcome. Earned ourselves a B. I think they could have won this Class B, bracket had they been at that 6-12 mark. I picked them to win the Class B. But obviously, since they didn't compete for it, not liking our odds on getting some of the class champions right. Flipping over to the Metro Loons. This team, I feel like I have them figured out, but they still confuse me at times. I had them at 9-9 in the AA. That's exactly where they finished, 9-9 in the AA. So we give ourselves an A, but this team is so good. I'm going to give the Loons some unsolicited advice here. A couple of years ago, our defense liked to talk about an A's inning, right, where we would boot the ball around. We'd have 2 or 3 errors in the same inning, and that seemed to be the inning that was our downfall, and we'd lose a game because of it. As hilarious as I think the X feed is on the Loons defense and whether or not it's going to show up, I think that has the ability to kind of creep into, the psyche of a team. You almost start to think, oh, here we go again. And I think that explains a lot of their Jekyll and Hyde. I think this team's a really good hitters. I think they've got a great defense, good pitching, totally capable of improving that record from 9-9 into the 12-13 win vicinity next year, making a AAA, making a run at a division. But in my opinion, it starts with getting rid of that Jekyll and Hyde mentality of which team's going to show up that night. Would love to see these guys put it together in the 2025 season. Minnetonka Saints, I had them at 12-6 in the AA. I know Joe Purcell and his group really liked the roster that they had. They finished 14-4. We'll all remember that 10-game win streak that they had to end up swiping this division. They made the AAA. 2 games better than what we had them at. We give ourselves a C. That leads us to the Tonka Bay Lakers. First year in the Fed. I had them at 13-5 in the AAA. Knew this team with the additions of Jim Brower and Troy Koenig. Really can play well. They finished a game better than what I had them at 14-4, but that wasn't good enough to win this division, so they ended up being the 1 seed in the AA. We missed by just a game. We got the class wrong, but we still get a B for the Tonka Bay Lakers. In the National League South, the Vesely Vulcans, largely impacted by Webster folding this year. I had them at 4-14. They had that great roster infusion midseason. They really put it together. They end up at 7-11. The top seed in that B bracket. Win total maybe a little inflated by some unforeseen events there, but we get a D on the Vesely Vulcans. This team could be one to watch out for in 2025. They play in a really tough division, but if they start to gel with the new nucleus that they have, look out. Elko Chuggers, I had them in at 7-11. This team really proved that they can play when they get their core group of guys there. A lot of turnover for this team. That's why I downgraded them a little bit from their 8-10 season in 2023. They finished again at 8-10. They ended up in the A. We got the class right. Give ourselves a B here. Obviously, Elko goes on to win the Class A championship. This team is another one that if they can keep their core together and keep playing well, this division is just going to be really, really tough when we resume play in the spring. The Lonsdale Jokers, 9-9 a season ago. They lost in the AA championship to Minnetonka. I had them at 9-9 once again. They end up going 7-11. We get the class right. They were in Class A, but we missed by 2 games. Earn ourselves a C on the Lonsdale Jokers. Newmarket Northerns, 15-3 in 2023. I downgraded them to 11-7. A lot of change in the offseason a year ago for the Northerns, but the more things change, the more they stay the same. They turned in a great campaign. They were 14-3-1. They earned the first wild card in our current format, make that AAA, and of course, make it all the way to the championship game, losing to the Grays. A great season for the Northerns. Hats off to them. Big miss on them. I do just get a passing grade with that tie in there. We get a D- on the Northern. The Lakeville Lobos, I had them at 16-2. I had them in the AAA. I had them winning this division. I had them as the number 1 seed. I had them as the overall champion. So much of that came to fruition. They turned in an even better campaign than I could have even imagined at 17-0-1. They, of course, won this division. They made the AAA, petered out in the playoffs. A great season nonetheless for the Lobos. A B- is what we earned there. Looking at the classes, how we did, we're going to say we got 9 of 10 teams right in the B, with Webster bowing out and not competing in the postseason. The Snappers, the only team in there that we didn't accurately have in this class. We nailed the seeds. You can see by those gold stars there on the Eden Prairie Flyers, the Senators, the Bombers, and Diamonds got them exactly slotted right in this bracket. Also nailed the fact that the Legends, JTs, Vulcans, Rockets, and Mustangs would be competing in this bracket. Really strong predicting prowess on my part for the B bracket. I had the TC Snappers as winning this division. Obviously, they competed in the A. We already know the Eden Prairie Flyers won this division, so we do miss on our class champion. We had 6 of 8 teams correct in the A. Obviously, the Hastings Hurricanes exceeded expectations. The Northwood Millers, we went the other way on, but we nailed Capital City on their seed, nailed St. Croix Valley on their seed, and got 4 of the other teams correct on who would be playing in this one. We had those Hurricanes winning this division, but we all know it was the Chuggers who walked away with it. Hats off once again to the Elko Chuggers. Double A, we only got 5 of the 8 teams right here. Nailed the Rockford Rail Splitters on their seed. Also got the fact that the Groupers, Saints, Outlaws, and Loons would all be competing here. A couple of misses on some of the other teams. We had the Northerns winning this one. Obviously, they didn't even play in it, but perhaps it all worked out for the best, as the Apple Valley A's are the champions in the AA. Moving on to the AAA, again, we all know, I've said it so many times, the Lakeville Lobos were my pick. I had the Lobos slotted right in the 1 seed, the Mammoth right there in the 2, the Grays correct in the 3 slot. I had Konya nailed down as the 7 seed. Also had the Rosemount Pipers competing in this one, so we get 5 of 8 teams right in the AAA. The Grays were able to repeat as Class AAA champions, so we went 0-4 on our Class champions. Well, let's look at the final report card. 5 times we absolutely nailed the record on teams, so we get 5 A's. 17 times we missed by just a game. That's 22 out of 34 teams I had within 1 win or loss of their final record. That's 65% of the league. Feeling pretty good about that. We had a couple of C's, couple of D's, and of course those F's in there. I find it funny that I compared in the preview the St. Michael Angels and the Apple Valley A's and how similar I thought those teams were. Turns out to be 2 of my 3 F grades. Perhaps letting my bias show a little bit too much in the prediction segment for those teams. We hit on 4 of the 7 division winners. The 3 misses we had, those teams all finished second place, so feel pretty good about who we ended up picking for the division winners. Hit at least 63% in all 4 class brackets. 63% in the AAA and the AA, hit 75% in the A and 90% in the B. It all boils down to a weighted average of 2.87, which is good enough for a B- for an overall grade on my prognosticating prowess. Not a bad effort, if I say so myself, in trying to determine what was going to happen in the 2024 season. Obviously, there's a lot that I didn't know about these teams coming in. I tried to really do my homework on that prediction segment and come up with something that I thought would be really close. Got to know a lot of you on a personal basis this year. Got to follow a lot of your teams really, really closely through the podcast. Maybe one of my favorite parts of doing the podcast this season. I'm looking forward to doing another prediction segment next year and maybe even improving on a decent letter grade. B-, I'll take it, but my sincerest apologies go out to teams like Hastings and Newmarket for severely undervaluing you. I hope it feels good that you're able to prove me wrong a little bit I'll eat my hat, eat my crow where I need to. Hope you guys got a kick out of this segment. We're definitely going to bring it back in 2025. That's all the time we have on this bonus edition of Fed Up. Once again, look for our season finale being released later today on Friday, August 20th. Until then, thank you for listening. Stay healthy.